International trade is back in the headlines as the Trump administration rolls out new tariffs targeting China. These tariffs, taxes on Chinese imports, are meant to protect American industries from what's seen as unfair competition. In May 2025, the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled that Trump overreached by using the International Emergency Economic Powers Act for some tariffs, arguing a trade deficit isn't an extraordinary threat. This ruling casts doubt on certain tariffs, but trade tensions remain high. The administration still has other tools, like Section 301, to impose targeted tariffs on sectors such as vehicles and semiconductors. For businesses, the uncertainty means higher costs and constant adaptation. As the US and China battle for economic dominance, companies are forced to find new, and sometimes risky, ways to navigate the shifting landscape. Facing tariffs as high as 145%, Chinese exporters have found themselves at a crossroads. These steep duties, imposed by the US in an effort to curb the flow of Chinese goods, have made direct exports to America far less profitable and, in some cases, nearly impossible for many businesses. In response, Chinese exporters have turned to creative workarounds, determined to keep their products flowing into the lucrative US market. Rather than accept defeat, they are adapting quickly, using a variety of strategies to sidestep the new barriers. The most common tactic is transshipment, sending goods to a third country, often in Southeast Asia, before they reach the US. This detour allows exporters to mask the true origin of their products. In these transit countries, products are often repackaged, relabeled, and issued new certificates of origin. This process effectively disguises their Chinese roots, making it appear as though the goods were produced elsewhere. As a result, these goods can enter the US at much lower tariff rates, bypassing the steep duties that would have applied if their true origin was known. Services offering these rerouting solutions are openly advertised on Chinese social media platforms. Exporters can easily find agents who handle everything, from arranging complex shipping routes to managing all the necessary paperwork and documentation. For many small and medium-sized businesses, these services are a lifeline. Without them, they would struggle to compete in the global market, as the high tariffs would price them out of the US entirely. The result? A tangled web of shipping routes now crisscrosses Southeast Asia, with goods passing through multiple countries before reaching American shores. This complexity makes it increasingly difficult for US customs officials to track the true origins of imports. The global trade system is now facing a new challenge, a shell game of origins that undermines the intent of US tariffs and complicates efforts to enforce fair trade practices worldwide. This rerouting strategy is known as origin washing, making Chinese goods appear as if they're made elsewhere. The process is simple: ship products to a third country, repackage them, maybe add a minor accessory, and secure new origin documents. Legally, a product's origin should only change if it undergoes substantial transformation, a real fundamental change. But most origin washing involves only superficial tweaks, falling into a legal gray area, or outright customs fraud. This undermines the purpose of tariffs, turning enforcement into a cat-and-mouse game between exporters and customs officials. As exporters exploit loopholes, US authorities scramble to keep up. Origin washing isn't just clever business, it's a direct challenge to international trade rules. The effectiveness of tariffs is eroded when goods can so easily shed their true identity. The global supply chain becomes a battleground of paperwork and deception. Origin washing relies on a complex network of Asian transit hubs: Malaysia, Vietnam, South Korea, and Thailand. These countries have become crucial links in a global supply chain that's constantly adapting to new trade barriers and tariffs. Goods from China are often rerouted through these nations, making it difficult for authorities to trace their true origin. This process isn't just about moving containers, it's about navigating a maze of regulations, paperwork, and inspections, all designed to obscure the real journey of a product. Malaysia, with its less stringent customs and bustling ports, has become a favorite stop for repackaging and relabeling Chinese goods. Here, containers are opened, goods are relabeled, and new documents are issued, giving products a fresh identity before they continue on to their final destination. But as the US intensifies its crackdown on tariff evasion, these countries are feeling the heat. Increased scrutiny from American authorities means more pressure on local officials to enforce the rules and prevent illegal transshipment. Vietnam, South Korea, and Thailand are now tightening inspections at their ports and warning local businesses against issuing false certificates of origin. The stakes are high, as getting caught can mean hefty fines and damaged reputations. In early 2025, South Korea uncovered $22 million in imports with fake origin labels, mostly Chinese goods bound for the US. This high-profile bust sent shockwaves through the region, signaling that authorities are stepping up enforcement. These countries face a real dilemma. Local businesses profit from transshipment, but governments risk US penalties and strain diplomatic relations if they're seen as turning a blind eye. Balancing economic interests with international obligations is no easy task. They're caught between two superpowers, trying to maintain good trade ties with both the US and China, while policing increasingly blurry lines in global commerce. Every decision carries consequences for their economies and international standing. The crackdown is real, but so is the incentive for exporters to keep finding new routes and creative ways to move goods. As enforcement ramps up, so does the ingenuity of those looking to dodge tariffs. The region is now a front line in the global tariff evasion game, where every shipment is a test of both regulation and resolve. Rerouting isn't the only trick in the book. Companies have long exploited customs loopholes to cut costs. Product reclassification is a classic move: tweak a product just enough to shift it into a lower tariff category. Converse once added felt to sneakers to reclassify them as slippers, slashing tariffs from 20% to 6%. Columbia Sportswear added a pocket to a blouse, dropping the tariff rate by over 10%. These small changes can mean millions in savings. Today the stakes are higher than ever, with tariffs on Chinese goods driving a surge in both legal and illicit strategies. Companies scrutinize every detail of the tariff code, searching for any edge. The result, a constant race between creative compliance and regulatory crackdowns. Trade policy shapes business innovation in ways lawmakers never imagined. For US importers, these schemes carry huge risks. Customs and Border Protection can impose steep fines, seize shipments, and even pursue criminal charges for customs fraud. The legal standard is strict. Only substantial transformation can change a product's origin. If caught, importers face penalties far exceeding the original tariffs, and their goods can be destroyed. This has made American companies far more cautious, with many now taking direct control of shipping and paperwork. They're demanding transparency from suppliers and scrutinizing deals that seem too good to be true. The fear of being caught in a customs investigation is a powerful motivator for compliance. In today's environment, ignorance is no defense. Importers must be vigilant to avoid becoming casualties of the trade war. The stakes are high, and the margin for error is razor thin. The global effort to dodge US tariffs is reshaping the economic chessboard, forcing countries and companies alike to rethink their strategies. Every move on this board has ripple effects, influencing not just trade flows, but also diplomatic relationships and long-term economic planning. The US is ramping up enforcement, using advanced data analytics, and forging new international partnerships to close loopholes. Customs officials are now more vigilant than ever, tracking suspicious shipments and scrutinizing paperwork to ensure compliance. These efforts signal a clear message. The US is determined to protect its industries, even if it means tightening the screws on global trade. Asian transit countries are under mounting pressure to crack down on origin washing, balancing US demands with their own economic interests. For nations like Vietnam and Malaysia, the stakes are high. They must weigh the benefits of increased trade against the risk of straining relations with both the US and China. China, while not officially endorsing origin washing, benefits as its manufacturers stay afloat despite tariffs. The country's factories continue to hum, providing jobs and economic stability, even as official policy distances itself from these practices. This underground supply chain acts as a safety valve for Chinese exporters, allowing them to maintain market access. But it also complicates China's global standing in trade negotiations, raising questions about transparency and fair competition. For Americans, tariff evasion undermines policies meant to protect jobs and industries. Workers and business owners feel the impact as factories close or struggle to compete, fueling debates about the effectiveness of tariffs and the future of American manufacturing. For Chinese businesses, it's a short-term fix that prolongs uncertainty. Many entrepreneurs worry about sudden policy shifts or crackdowns, making it difficult to plan for the future or invest in long-term growth. The result is a complex, interconnected web of reactions, proof that economic pressure in one country can spark unpredictable consequences worldwide. Trade routes shift, alliances are tested, and the global economy becomes even more intertwined and fragile. In the end, The trade war's true impact is felt not just in boardrooms but in the everyday choices of businesses and consumers on both sides of the Pacific. From the products on store shelves to the jobs in local communities, the repercussions of these policies are shaping the future for millions around the world.